Hello, this is Anne-Lise Gere, your HR consultant and advisor. And today I'm delighted to bring you another episode of Ask the HR Expert. Your questions answered in a few minutes. And today's question is how to address the fact that some employees are chronically late, but are otherwise great employees. So clearly there is a problem. They're not punctual with their work attendance, but when they do show up for work, they're doing great work. This is a little tricky. So when I get asked these questions, I ask my employers to think about different things. First of all, is being on time a requirement of the position, or is it something that the supervisor gets irritated by? Is it a bit of a power play, maybe? And so for an example of that is if somebody has a customer-facing responsibility and you open the doors to the public at 9 o'clock, the fact that your employees show up to work by 8:45 is truly a requirement of the position because they have to be able to meet the public at 9 o'clock. On the other hand, if we're talking about somebody who is an individual contributor, works in a cubicle, has limited interactions with others, works on projects, does it really matter whether they're there at 8:30 or at 9:15? As long as they get their work done, as long as people, their colleagues can find them when they need them. So that's the first question. The second question is, are we talking about an exempt employee or a non-exempt employee? If we're talking about an exempt employee, I would really refrain from managing their presence and the time they spent on the job, because really an exempt employee is responsible to deliver quality work and quantity work, but you should not really be monitoring how they get there to a very fine degree. If we're talking about non-exempt employees, we usually have a smaller scale jobs that may have more, that are paid based on their presence in the job. Then being able to track and know when they're working and not working is important from a payroll perspective. So that's the second question. The third question is, if it's not a requirement of the job, if the employee is exempt, why does it matter? Maybe there are things that in the employee's life are preventing them from getting to work on time. Does it affect the morale of the team? Does it affect the workflow? Those are some of the things that you might want to look at to really question whether this is something you want to address with the employee. If it is something you want to address with the employee because it is affecting the morale of others who are probably saying, hey, how come I show up to work every day and Susie Q gets away with showing up half an hour late pretty much every day? You probably want to sit down with Susie Q and have a conversation with her and let her know that, and explain to her why your expectations are what they are and what you're going to do about it. Because you, of course, can start disciplining somebody if they're consistently late for work and it is a problem. Something else I want you to think about is when you have that conversation with Susie Q, maybe you're realizing she will share with you some personal information that you didn't know. And things like being able to get the children dropped off to school at a certain time, or the babysitter arriving at home at a certain time, or the need to take an elderly parent to an adult daycare. Those are things that most of our employees deal with day in and day out. And there might be a need for you, the employer, to adjust the work schedule and say, okay, now I understand why it's such a struggle for you to get to work every day. And maybe we can change your work schedule so that you arrive a little later and you work a little later, or you arrive a little later, you work until the 5 o'clock, and you will take work home and be allowed to work remotely for an hour in the evening. So those are different ways to approach that problem. And I hope it's given you some ideas on how to go about it. So if you have any more questions and you would like me to address them in a future episode of Ask the HR Expert, by all means, email me at annalise@gereconsulting.com. Make sure to check my website, gereconsulting.com, where I have tons of blogs, and I have a membership site as well that might be of interest. And of course, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel so you never miss another episode of Ask the HR Expert. Until next time, have a wonderful day.